Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review, and today we are featuring the budget $9.99 Grimlock action figure, recommended for children ages 6 and up. I bought this at my local Walgreens a week or two ago. This is part of the Transformers Authentic line. Not much to say. This is a budget toy, so if you're a serious collector, don't get your expectations set too high. This is clearly aimed at parents and children. It's not for the really hardcore, serious collector. But for me, I found this toy to be very appealing, just because it's just that. It's a toy. I love stuff like this. There's a simplicity about it that I find charming. And it's a great display piece, especially for something at my desk at work. And I think the sculpting is amazing. It looks really cool and detailed. Albeit this thing's pretty much just a hollow shell of plastic, I think it looks fantastic. Alright, let's get started. First off, awesome illustration of Grimlock. And then here's the Dino mode, the T-Rex. The figure looks great. I believe this figure is maybe roughly about 11 inches tall. Here's the back of the box. This guy transforms in 8 steps. So I'm kind of curious to see what the T-Rex mode feels like. I got the Megatron in this larger scale, and the Megatron's tank mode I think is awesome. It's really compact, it looks really clean, it looks awesome. This T-Rex mode I'm kind of curious about. I kind of have some reservation about how, cool this thing will look, or it might look lame as hell, I don't know. But very curious. Alright, so let's get started and unbox this guy. Alright, so first impressions of Grimlock. I think the sculpting on him looks amazing. Just if you're just to judge him by looking at him straight on forward, it looks amazing. The detail is super nice and crisp. The sculpting is really well done. The design is well thought out. It's kind of like a weird amalgamation between the different generations of Megatron. Not Megatron, Grimlock. Clearly, this takes a lot of influence from G1 Grimlock, but there's subtle, details here that kind of echo, the much more recent offerings. For example, the missile pods up here. That's very much in line with Transformer Adventures, Cyberverse, Grimlock. The chest piece here is very G1, as is the head. Likewise, with the claws in the front, that's very G1. The color scheme, very G1. Okay, so this is a budget toy, so your expectations should need to be realistic. This guy isn't going to win any awards. He's not some sort of engineering feat. As nice as he looks from the front, The minute you flip them over, it's just a lot of hollowed out plastic. You know, this guy's is pretty much just an empty shell. He has hollow forearms, a hollow back, hollow legs. You know, that's the primary reason why this guy is a budget figure. You know, he's only $9.99. But, you know, his size is incredibly impressive. This is a very tall boy here. And he comes in at about a little under 11 inches. I said this about the Megatron figure, like, if this guy wasn't hollowed out, and if he was like a fully realized action figure with articulation, and if these were filled in, you know, I think this would be an amazing action figure. Just because I love the design so much. It's a really well thought out design. You know, they don't pull, I mean, whoever designed this, they didn't pull any punches when it came to, like, giving this guy an insane amount of detail. It just looks amazing. But the fact of the matter is, the reality is, you know, this is a budget toy, you know, so, you know, there's going to be a lot of compromises. This guy's not going to be super articulated by any means. If anything, you know, his arms just rotate. You know, his head doesn't move. His legs don't move. It's just essentially his arms. But I think it's a great looking figure. It's a great display piece. But, you know, don't fool yourself. This guy is not going to replace, you know, your premium, like, $50 to $100, you know, Grimlock figure that you already have in your collection. You know, this is clearly aimed at parents and children. You know, if you're a little one, I'd imagine this is the kind of toy that would send you over the moon. It's big. It's like the size of a small teddy bear. You know, so like a little boy or girl could carry this around. The transformation is supposedly pretty simple. So, yeah, I think it's a fantastic toy. You know, with a heavy emphasis on toy. You know, this is not a premium collectible. I know a lot of serious collectors scoff at these kind of things, but, you know, the reality is this is not aimed at you. So, okay, so let's transform this. Got the instructions right here. Transforms into 8 steps. I hate this about Transformer instructions. I grew up in the 80s with the original Generation 1, and back then you got this really nice pamphlet that was in full color with really great photography. Everything was clear and easy to read. You know, the last, like, I don't know, like 30 years, Transformers instructions, they're just kind of relegated to, like, just being black and white. And for me, it's not that they're, like, illegible, but they're hard to make sense of sometimes. And if you're a little kid, I can't imagine this being easy to read because, for one, the images are all ghosted, so they're hard to see. And, you know, these each little picture is like the size of like a postage stamp. So get out your magnifying glass. All right, so first up, you're gonna take his fists and fold them in, flip them around, and then you're gonna fold his head down. And it looks like his jaw might be articulated. Okay, this is awesome. That's really cool. So his jaw is articulated. There's a little lever on the top of his head. Let's get this into focus. Loving this. That's really cool. Really nice sculpting on the head here for the T-Rex. Looks great. So next, it looks like we're going to roll his arms forward. So you're going to be rotating this whole assembly here with this black area right there. That's going to rotate all the way around. All right, am I doing this right? I don't know if I'm doing this right. Okay, all right, so there's a small tab right there, and then there's a socket right there. So this is going to plug into there like that. So on this end, let's repeat that motion. You're going to rotate this upward, or is it downward? All right, now this one doesn't want to move. Why doesn't this want to move? All right, you're going to rotate this. You might have to lift this piece a little just to clear the tab here. And then this tab here is going to plug it into the socket underneath right there. And then the legs are going to fold down. And this feels like very G1 kind of Grimlock. So it looks like you're gonna roll the legs back all the way, I think. Or is this too far? All right, let's first clear the tail, because I know the tail has to be taken out. So we're gonna clear the tail out. I think we need to lock these pieces together. Okay, so there's a tab on the tail here, and then there's a tab here. And you can plug it into those sockets right here and into that tab there. So you line them up, plug them in. So the transformation, it feels very G1. And then the legs fold down, and I believe this... Oh wow, it's decent. All right, for a $9.90, for a budget toy at $9.99, I think this is actually a really decent Grimlock. Surprisingly, he does suffer from that exposed face syndrome. You know, if you looked underneath him, you'd see his head here. But I think it's a pretty decent T-Rex mode. Surprisingly, it looks great. And much like the Megatron, the one thing I like about this is that this guy's T-Rex mode is reasonably sized, but the minute he transforms into his robot form, it's like 3 times the height, which I think is awesome. So yeah, look at that. It's pretty decent for a budget $9.99 T-Rex toy. So if you're like a child, I think this is great. If you're an adult, I think this is a fantastic desk toy. Like I said, but you know, realistically speaking, this does not hold a candle to like the much more expensive figures. But this is not aimed at the serious collector. You know, this is a toy, heavy emphasis on toy. It's aimed at kids. But for me, just handling it, it's really fun. Very surprised. I mean, it's a hollowed out piece of plastic, but the silhouette of the T-Rex and its profile looks outstanding. The detail is really well done. You know, if you look on the back, like the tail, nicely sculpted. All the details are just really well thought out. You know, so kudos to the designer who designed this. You know, it's not like it was like a lazy afterthought. You know, everything's really well engineered. It's nicely done. It looks fantastic. Yeah, really impressed for like a $9 toy. You know, you're getting this 11-inch tall robot mode Grimlock, and then his T-Rex mode, it's pretty solid. You know, the articulation's just the legs up here, but it doesn't really matter. And then the fact that his jaw does this, that's really neat. So to transform the guy back, take the legs, split them apart, and you'll notice where they're plugged into the tabs. So they split. This one leg here has the tail, and you want to fold the tail back in. Rotate the legs. Now the only thing is, I can imagine over time though, especially if a child's playing with this excessively, these ball joints, they're super tight right now, so you know it can hold its pose. But I can only imagine that, you know, after maybe like 6 months of use, you know, these ball joints might start to loosen up. So this guy might eventually suffer from like wobbly joint syndrome. But right out of the box though, it's, you know, everything moves nice and tight. And I think it's a great figure. Let's rotate it back. And then his fists unfold. Yeah, so I'm liking this a lot. So I've come across these figures at Walgreens before. I've passed on the Optimus. I've passed on Starscream. I've passed on Bumblebee, but the Grimlock and the Megatron, for me, they were kind of like must-buys. I think they're both incredible looking figures. Just from, for me aesthetically, just like staring at them. You know, this really looks like the Grimlock I kind of see in my head, even though it's all like hollowed out and non-articulated. You know, I think it's just a well-designed, well-thought-out piece. You know, for $9.99, it's really fantastic. But, you know, he's not going to, it's like I said, you know, he doesn't hold a candle to this. This is the much more expensive premium collectible. This is the Transformers animated movie studio series Grimlock. You know, this guy runs for about, I think, maybe like $50 or $60. He doesn't come with a sword. I gave him the sword. This is actually a Transformers Constructabot sword. But yeah, you know, a world of difference between these two toys. You know, first off is the price, $9 versus over $50. You know, this guy is actually like a fully realized action figure. You know, he's not really hollowed out. A lot of nice heft and weight to him. And this is the kind of a Grimlock that like serious collectors dream about. You know, but if you're a kid, you know, I think this will fill the void. It's a nice, fun toy. If you have little ones who are into Transformers and you don't want them handling your expensive collectibles, get them this. It won't disappoint them. So yeah, two different Grimlocks. As you can see, big height difference. The $9 figure like towers over, you know, the Studio Series one. But they're great toys, both of them. You know, they're just aimed at different people. You know, this is clearly aimed at parents and children. This is aimed at you. Chances are, if you're watching this video, this is the guy that you want or already have. Alright, so let's wrap this video up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you are new to my channel, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber or viewer, thank you so much for continued likes, comments, and support. I greatly appreciate it. So, until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. Alright, later.